Well, one of the necessities for survival is food, and so what I'd like to show today is a very simple and easy way to snare a small game, and that is the Squirrel Ramp. To my knowledge, the Squirrel Ramp is the easiest way I could think of to construct and to snare a squirrel or small animal such as a squirrel. So we're going to show you how to set one up, actually set one up and try to see if we can capture any game with it today. Well, the first part of constructing a squirrel ramp is actually the ramp itself. The point of the ramp is to make a path up a tree that's easier for a squirrel to get up the tree rather than crawling straight up the trunk. So find an old log or something suitable for a squirrel to climb up, and that's the ramp. So I got these cedar logs here in my yard, and they look like something sizable enough for a squirrel to run up. So I'm just going to lean them up against the tree. And that way the squirrel has an easier path up the tree. I'm going to put another one on the tree, one more farther back, and then we'll show you how to construct the snare. Alright, to construct the snare, what you need is some kind of stiff wire. You can use, I personally use craft wire, but I have used electrical wire in the past. Anything stiff that'll hold its shape once you form it. Now, I keep in my pack this green craft wire. You want somewhat of a heavier gauge, not real heavy, but something heavy so it doesn't snap easily. But if you can see that, that's the kind I use now. So I'm going to give myself off the length of wire. Give yourself enough wire so that you can make the loop, and so that you can tie it around the ramp that you've constructed as well. So I'm going to just give myself a good couple feet of wire here and cut it off. Now the first thing you need to do is to make a loop for the wire to slip through. And the way I do that is I'll just find any kind of small twig or branch, something that's easily broken, and I'll just take the wire and I'll pass it around a couple turns around the branch. Kind of like that, if you can see that. Alright? And once that's done, what I'll do is I'll twist the branch to give that wire a secure little loop there, and then just break the stick away. And now what I have is a little loop for my snare wire to slip through. What I do there, take the other end of the snare wire and just pass it through that loop, and now I have my cinching loop here. And this is it. This is the snare. Now, from this point, we need to actually attach it to our ramp, so I'll show you that next. Basically, you're going to take the working end of what's left of the snare wire, and you're going to tie that around your ramp and leave the snare above the ramp for the squirrel to pass through. Alright, we finished up making our snares. I recommend that you make about a dozen or so. The more snares you have, the more chance obviously you have of actually snaring an animal for food, and you want to increase your chances when you are in a survival situation. So we put up 2 ramps. I actually have another ramp over there that I've put up on another tree. So I got 3 ramps with snares on each one. You can put 2 or 3 snares on each ramp depending on how long the ramp is, and I'll show you how we put these things on here. Okay? So up over here, you can see I got actually 1 snare right there, and I got another snare right there. Now, the idea is for you to place these snares just where the squirrel's going to pass his head through. You want this snare to be big enough for the squirrel to pass his head through. As you can see, these are really hard to see, and hopefully have the same effect on the squirrel. Give yourself a leader. This one's probably a little too short. I cut the wire a little too short on this one. Give yourself a long leader. I'll explain why in a minute, but you don't want it so when the squirrel's actually going up the trunk, his head's going to pass through that snare. Here's probably a little better example up here. That one wasn't made exactly right, but this one right here, he's got past that head, right through the snare. What happens is the squirrel, when his head goes through the snare, he feels that snare wire, and he's going to make a jump to safety. And when he does that, the snare wire is going to cinch on his neck, and it'll choke him. And he won't have anywhere to go, because obviously the snare wire will be restraining him. And with any luck, you'll have a dinner hanging there the next day. One reason why I said you need a longer leader is because you don't want the squirrel to be able to grab onto the ramp or anything near it to be able to release himself from the snare. If he can put his feet on something once the snare has got him around the neck, he's going to be able to chew through it, get out, and pull against it. But if there's nothing at all around the ramp, you don't want anything near the ramp, branches or anything like that. You don't want the snare too close to the trunk so he can jump to the trunk. But you do want a leader so that when he jumps, the leader brings him far away from the branch when he gets snared, so he doesn't have anything to grab onto. Because I have had that experience where I had the snare a little too close to something, and the squirrel actually jumped onto that and chewed his way off the snare, and he was gone. So we don't want to lose game. We don't want to lose our snares and waste them. So what we'll do is we'll check back on these periodically. Who knows how long it'll take. We could get one today, we could get one in the next few weeks. I've waited a long time sometimes to get game, but hopefully in a survival situation, the more you put out there, you'll increase your chances, and you'll quickly have snared something for your meal. Well, this is proof that the Squirrel Ramp does work. Unfortunately, when I came, he was still kicking, but I think he's finally given up the ghost. So I had it going up this ramp here, and it does work. And that is squirrel for dinner. Well, I'll be honest with you, I do not like taking the life of anything, but this was a good test, and I'm not going to waste the creature that I have here. I'm gonna use him. We'll skin him up, and I've never tried squirrel meat before, so that'll probably have to be another video. But this is proof that the squirrel ramp with the wire snare actually works, and we'll see how the rest of this goes. Okay, the work is done. That's what we have. Still working a little bit on my skills to do this, but it wasn't too bad, and I definitely could do it in the field. So dinner.